Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think would win when Luke Cage vs Pinhead, muscle power clashing with a hellish nightmare? Luke Cage was once an ordinary man until a prison experiment turned him into the Man of Steel of Harlem. His indestructible skin makes Luke immune to bullets, knives, and most forms of physical attacks. He possesses physical strength far beyond human limits, powerful enough to take down low-level superhumans, punch through concrete, and in certain moments confront figures like Hulk or Juggernaut head-on. Pinhead is not a muscle-bound warrior, but the embodiment of metaphysical torment, a Cenobite from the Hellraiser dimension. Pinhead commands living chains, manipulates pain and souls, and views the boundary between pleasure and suffering as nothing more than a sick joke. His power does not rely on punching force, but on the laws of hell, which can bind, tear apart, or imprison an opponent's soul. Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much, everyone. Carl Earl Lucas, known to the entire world as Luke Cage, was born and raised on the noisy streets of Harlem, New York. He is the son of Esther Lucas and James Lucas, a retired NYPD detective who firmly believed in justice and order. However, Carl's childhood followed a completely different path. Drawn into the harsh rhythm of street life, he quickly befriended Willis Stryker and Reva Connors together, plunging into endless trouble. As he grew older, Lucas joined the gang known as the Rivals alongside Stryker, his closest friend. He took part in conflicts with the Diablos gang and carried out numerous small-time thefts, often working for Sonny Caputo, a notorious deformed crime boss also known as Hammer. During those years, Lucas moved in and out of juvenile detention centers, gradually becoming accustomed to life on the fringes of society. Luke was later wrongfully imprisoned and subjected to illegal experimentation in a prison facility, granting him impenetrable skin and superhuman strength. Luke Cage is an ordinary man transformed into a walking fortress. After surviving the Burstein process, his body was completely restructured, unlocking physical potential far beyond human norms. In the early stages, Cage's strength was limited to lifting objects weighing a few tons, but that was only the beginning of a relentless evolutionary journey. Through years of brutal training and constant confrontations with the criminal underworld, Luke Cage's strength grew exponentially. He gradually reached the ability to lift dozens of tons, deliver punches capable of piercing thick steel and crushing solid obstacles. Although he has learned to control his power to avoid catastrophic consequences in life or death situations, Cage often unleashes strength far beyond all estimates. On one occasion, he lifted a massive bulldozer overhead and threw it away like a toy, his body remaining completely unmoved. At present, Luke Cage's limits have reached 50 tons or more. He can bend a metal baseball bat with his bare hands and defeat Rhino with a single decisive blow. When Cage moves colossal masses or battles extraterrestrial entities, the ground itself trembles as a natural response to his overwhelming power. Once, simply because he could not start a vehicle, he casually carried a large truck across several city blocks, leaving onlookers staring in disbelief. For Luke, Cage's strength is not merely muscle, but an iron will forged through countless brutal battles. Cage has even been strong enough to knock back Hulk in direct confrontations and fight evenly with the Thing without ever appearing overmatched. His extraordinary power allows Luke Cage to move unimaginably heavy objects as if it were routine. Each heavy step causes the ground to tremble slightly as a natural reaction. When battling alien beings with terrifying strength, Cage's impacts generate widespread shockwaves, making the surrounding space seem compressed by sheer force. Not only his arms, but Luke Cage's strength flows through his entire body. A single thunderous punch from him is enough to send an opponent flying in an instant. His legs, solid as steel pillars, allow Cage to leap vast distances with astonishing propulsion, crossing gaps that seem impossible. The peak of his strength was once recorded when Luke Cage gripped the lower fuselage of an active airplane and pulled with such force that the pilot was compelled to shut down the engines. Luke Cage's body is like an impenetrable fortress. His skin is as hard as titanium steel beneath, which lies a muscular system and skeletal structure of ultra-high density. This extraordinary anatomy allows Cage to withstand physical damage in astonishing ways, turning lethal attacks into nothing more than mild vibrations rippling across the surface of his skin. Close-range handgun bullets are nearly useless against Luke Cage, and even the sharpest blades cannot cut through his skin. In special situations such as surgery, only extremely high-intensity medical laser devices are capable of affecting his body. Cage can withstand impacts weighing several tons or the destructive force of a massive explosion while remaining on his feet without suffering serious injury. Extreme temperatures or powerful electrical currents also cannot easily subdue him. In his current state, Luke Cage's durability allows him to directly face heavy firepower at lethal range and even endure being burned alive. He has withstood blows from vastly superior, super strong entities, devastating energy blasts, violent lightning strikes, and even falls from the heights of skyscrapers dozens of stories tall. Each time Cage rises from the rubble, brushing dust from his shoulders as if he had merely walked through a heavy rain, affirming that his body is not only a weapon but also an impenetrable steel shield. Although he is rarely seriously injured, whenever Luke Cage does sustain damage, his recovery ability still astonishes others. After brutal confrontations, while his opponents are still lying defeated, Luke is already able to stand firm, take a deep breath, and continue moving forward as if nothing had ever stopped him. Beyond his exceptional physical traits, Luke Cage is also a highly experienced, self-taught fighter forged through harsh street brawls. He has openly admitted to undergoing serious training alongside Iron Fist, which sharpened his close combat skills, making them far more refined and effective than his appearance might suggest as someone who relies solely on raw strength. The combination of power, durability, and technique has turned Cage into an extremely dangerous opponent. Luke Cage has faced many formidable enemies such as the terrorist Gideon Mace, the seasoned fighter Armand Loring, and the female crime boss Black Mariah. Gideon Mace, an extremist former soldier harboring deep hatred toward the United States government, once planned a bank robbery on Wall Street. That scheme ended disastrously when Cage arrived at the right moment, causing Mace's escape helicopter to crash into the Hudson River amid chaos. Even Dr. Doom once became an enemy of Luke Cage for what seemed like a trivial reason. Doom hired Power Man for a job and then fled without paying the modest fee. Luke's response was anything but small. He stormed the Baxter Building, the headquarters of the Fantastic Four, stole an aircraft, infiltrated Doom's domain, and personally defeated him and made it clear that Luke Cage never allows disrespect to go unanswered. I sincerely hope you will subscribe to the channel. It would help us tremendously, and you are truly amazing. Thank you very much. Now let us talk about Pinhead. Before becoming Pinhead, the entity that even hell itself bows to, he was once a human named Elliot Spencer, born in 1887 inches Victorian England. In his youth, Spencer joined the British Army and was soon deployed to France, where he fought directly in the First World War with the rank of captain in the British Expeditionary Force. At that time, he was a calm, intelligent, and persuasive man who consistently showed deep compassion for his comrades, as well as for those swept into the vortex of war. However, everything collapsed after the blood-soaked battles in Flanders. Witnessing the endless brutality that humans inflicted upon their own kind, Elliot Spencer gradually lost his faith in humanity. At the same time, his religious belief also shattered as he came to believe that God had turned away and ignored the pain and despair of the world. From a soldier with a kind heart, Spencer became hollow, driven by a desire to seek meaning far beyond life and death. That path led him to a fate from which there was no return, transforming Elliot Spencer into Pinhead, the being known by the title of the Hell Priest. In the form of a Cenobite, he became the most infamous entity in Hell, and the one most favored by Leviathan above all others. Pinhead is not only cruel, but also possesses a profound understanding of the laws of Hell and the mind of Leviathan, serving as a perfect instrument of the brutal order within the abyss. Pinhead is not merely a supernatural entity. Physically, he is nearly impossible to defeat or destroy, an existence far beyond conventional concepts of injury. Yet Pinhead rarely engages directly in close combat. Pinhead. He chooses to stand still and observe coldly, allowing chains tipped with sharp hooks to carry out his merciless will. These chains are Pinhead's signature and most terrifying weapons. They emerge from nothingness, surge in every direction, and embed themselves deep into the victim's body, then are yanked violently all at once like a blood-soaked ritual execution. Every movement of the chains is directly governed by his mind, allowing Pinhead to precisely control each act of torment. When necessary, the chains can also change form, tightening or tearing apart their prey in unimaginably brutal ways. Pinhead's defensive capabilities are no less horrifying. He can endure most direct attacks without showing the slightest effect, and only the most extreme forces are capable of impacting him. In addition, Pinhead is proficient in many forms of dark magic and occult arts, from creating objects out of thin air, instantaneous teleportation triggering remote explosions, to conjuring illusions to mislead opponents. He can even read thoughts and exploit the deepest fears of his enemies. What makes Pinhead especially terrifying lies not only in his power, but also in his presence. His calm, measured voice, his hypnotic manner of speaking, and his deep understanding of human nature allow him to manipulate the psychology of others. In many cases, Pinhead does not need to force his victims, but instead leads them to willingly commit horrific acts, believing them to be choices of their own making. Pinhead is not only the executioner of hell, but also a malevolent scholar with boundless ambition. He has slaughtered hundreds of the most powerful sorcerers in the world, not only to eliminate rivals, but also to seize all of their magic and knowledge. Every soul destroyed becomes a fragment within Pinhead's vast reservoir of arcane knowledge, pushing him far beyond the limits of an ordinary Cenobite. The amount of dark lore Pinhead possesses is enough for him to massacre his own kind, and even annihilate the most terrifying entities of hell itself. This power elevated him to a new level where Pinhead could step onto Earth by his own will without needing to be summoned through the Lament configuration. The price of this freedom was the loss of his familiar chains, replaced instead by a brutal blood-draining ability that turns every confrontation into a living sacrificial ritual. Pinhead donned the armor of Lucifer, the ultimate symbol of Hell's authority. In that form, he attained power sufficient to wipe out an entire army through sheer will and dark sorcery, transforming the battlefield into a sea of blood and despair. In that moment, Pinhead was nearly unstoppable, a living fury beyond all laws. Only Lucifer, the true lord of hell, possessed the power and status necessary to stand against him, marking the fragile boundary between absolute power and total annihilation. He can summon other Cenobites with a single thought and conjure flesh hooks at will to restrain and attack anyone who opens the Lament configuration or any other device capable of opening a gateway to hell. He carries a unique set of torture instruments on his belt and wields them with deadly mastery. He has many years of experience in warfare from his time as a human Elliot Spencer, during which he sought the most depraved and forbidden pleasures humanity could offer, yet he always desired more. He can see into your mind, discover what you fear most, and use it in the most painful ways to break your mental resistance and drag you down into hell, where he will offer your soul to his master, Leviathan. He can only come to Earth when summoned by the box. Without that gateway, he is forbidden from physically entering Earth, but he can still exert psychological influence over potential victims. He exists in a constant state of suffering with open wounds across his upper chest, a wire stitched through his lower abdomen to support his torture tools, and of course, countless nails driven into his skull and face, along with hooks at the back of his head that anchor his robe directly into his flesh. This creates an intimate bond with his master and serves as a mark he may never be able to remove. His greatest weakness is that he is still mortal. He bleeds, and if injured severely enough, he can die. However, Leviathan would likely only need to restore his shattered body and send him back to his task of collecting souls to further experience the power of the Dark Lord of the Labyrinth. A night of torrential rain blankets Harlem, the familiar streets drowning beneath smeared yellow lights and rolling thunder. Luke Cage patrols silently, each heavy step carrying the responsibility of protecting the neighborhood that raised him. Suddenly, a strange whisper echoes as an innocent person accidentally activates the Lemershon box. A gate to hell opens in the heart of the city, and Pinhead, along with the Cenobites, emerges like phantoms stepping out of a nightmare. Luke Cage charges in immediately with raw power. His punches shatter the chains, rushing toward him, his indestructible skin allowing him to withstand the razor-sharp hooks. Yet the pain he feels does not remain only physical. Memories buried deep within his mind begin to surface as if someone is tearing his past into the light. Luke slams the lesser Cenobites, hurling them into concrete walls and parked cars while desperately trying to destroy the grotesque box to seal the screaming gateway behind them. Pinhead stands there calm and merciless. He summons more chains, unleashing painful illusions meant to erode Luke's will. His cold voice rings out, mocking and commanding, declaring that flesh is nothing more than a fragile shell before the ravages of hell. The space around them warps the streets of Harlem, transforming into a horrific labyrinth, where Luke is forced to face visions of lost loved ones, especially Reva, the pain that has never faded from his heart. The confrontation reaches its peak when Luke Cage drags Pinhead into the realm of hell itself. He rips apart the chains and delivers a crushing punch straight into the nail-studded face of the executioner, causing thick black blood to spill forth. But Pinhead strikes back with supernatural power, tearing open Luke's soul and exploiting his deepest fear, losing control of his strength and failing to protect the innocent. When Leviathan is summoned, the mental and physical pressure crashes down like the sky collapsing. Luke comes agonizingly close to victory as the Lamartian box is nearly destroyed, but in the final moment, hooks pierce not only his flesh, but his soul, dragging Luke Cage into the dimension of hell, where raw strength must confront eternal torment. The ultimate victor will be Pinhead. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Follow me if you enjoyed it. That is today's video. Thank you very much.